My 25F partner, 24 meters, had an affair 2 years ago and I found out while I was pregnant with our second child. This past February my partner went on a snowboarding trip with a friend out of state. They left on Valentine's Day and came back a week later. When he got home, I told him I was pregnant again and he was excited. That night I got a hunch and decided to go through his phone. This was only the second time I did that. The first was a few months prior and I found nudes from his AP, let's call her Emily. This time I found a message from him to her asking her to pick him up from the airport so they could go for a little drive. This confirmed the suspicions I had from when I found the nudes. When I confronted him about the nudes, he said she sent them unsolicited and deleted them. I never yelled at him because my first child would have been caught in the middle and I didn't want to put him through that. He didn't need to see or hear me get worked up like that. I grilled him with the usual 101 questions and found out he started the affair in August 2020 and the physical sex ended in February 2021. I gave birth to our first child in October 2020, and he proposed to me in January 2021. Needless to say, I've called off the engagement. Over the course of that time period, he had sex with her 9 times. She lived near their work and so a majority of the time happened either at work or at her house. But one time they had sex at our house. It took a lot of snooping and a lot of confrontations for him to admit the full story. Kept denying they had sex in our home, allegedly in the living room. I gave birth to our second child a few weeks ago, and we are still together. I'm feeling so lost. I love him more than anything and he says he won't do it again, and I believe him. I just am still so hurt even though it happened 2 years ago. I don't plan on leaving. I love our family and I don't want to miss a moment of us. I have been going to therapy to try and find healthy ways to cope and forgive, but I know it takes time. Cheating doesn't have to end in a broken home. I don't want it to. I want this to work. Think something is up with my wife. I, 42, have been married to my wife for 16 years. We love our kids, we do everything for them. I in the last year have changed companies for a sufficient pay raise which allows us to put out kids through a private school. My wife a few years prior to my new job got hired as a worker at the same school that my children now attend. Our marriage, in the beginning, was great. Granted I've done stupid crap in the past, I've taken my lumps and done what I can for my wife who at times can be warm but usually quite cold. Sex is passionless, no foreplay, it's a job for her that needs to be scheduled in advance and it's the same show every time. I am the one who has a very high sex drive, her being very low. I have noticed that a little after getting hired at this school she became colder at times and sex would only be a weekend thing. I've tried talking to her about trying different things, wearing lingerie, and different positions, but I get stonewalled. She is unwilling to talk about it. My last child has just started going to this school and joined the football team. We were at a game at the beginning of the year and as we were conversing with another parent, also a teacher at this school, my wife mentioned that he put his arm around her as we were talking somehow. I didn't notice or didn't think much of it at the time, but apparently, his wife did, and she gave my wife a very cold stare. My wife mentioned this afterward and I was a little astonished but didn't really think about it. Now just the other day I was picking my kid up after a game, my son and his son play on the same team, and he comes up and introduces himself to me again, telling me how great my kids are after finding out who I am again. He mentions that my son should have a sleepover and I said this would be a great idea. Got home and told my wife and she said why not, that they live on such and such street just behind where we do most of our shopping. Why does she know where he lives? I'm suspicious. I haven't talked to her yet and honestly I would not blame her if she has. I have been far from the greatest husband on the planet. I do love her but I honestly never envisioned my married life in the way it's been going. She can be exceptionally hard to live with, very judgmental, constantly trying to get me to drop hobbies over the years, always jealous of girls who talked to me when we were younger. She's never been able to keep friends either. Her only friend really is her mother, but she spoke very warmly of my kid's teacher. Am I thinking too much? Why did he leave me that easy for someone else? How? Hi everyone. I just can't sleep and here I am 4.5 months later, still crying every day because I just don't understand. I was with my ex-boyfriend for 7 years and we talked about moving in together. He said he loved me a lot of times and we made a lot of plans for the future together. Everything seemed to be going right. Until that night in June, when he suddenly decided to cheat on me with his coworker. He only knew for one day. It's just eating me up. How was he able to do this? How can someone just erase someone from their life that easy to start and pursue a life with someone he just met? Is someone able to answer that? I'm crying every day over this. Why wasn't I enough? Why doesn't he attach the same value to all we did together, all the times we had so much fun, and all the activities we did together? How is it all just worthless to him now? They dated for 2.5 months until they recognized they were too different from each other and got into fights over this. He came back to me, and we dated for 2.5 weeks, and everything seemed back to normal. Until they met up again to exchange stuff and he chose her again. He broke it off with me for the second time for the same person again, the exact person that was too different from him. So first I get dumped for her while he knew her one day, and now I got dumped for the same girl who didn't have anything in common with him. Can someone please shed some light on this and explain how on earth it is possible for him to just erase me like that? We literally talked about our vacation, moving in together, loving each other so much that same week that he cheated. Nobody even knew she existed, including himself. How can someone just do this all of a sudden? I would really like some insights. Did he ever love me? I have been crying every day since it happened and I just hate my life. I just can't seem to escape this nightmare. In 2018, my girlfriend cheated on me, so I ended up marrying her. In 2018, my 24 meters girlfriend, 24F, of 3 years admitted that she had cheated on me. It was a long-distance relationship, which was already incredibly difficult, and we would make a drive every weekend to see each other regularly, usually never went more than 2 weeks without seeing each other. She had made a male friend at her university, and since I had female friends of my own, I didn't mind this. Well, after one weekend together, she left my house to go back home, about a 5-hour drive. We always send a text when we make it back safely. She sent me the text, and I thought nothing of it and went to work that afternoon. Later that night, she calls me crying and tells me that she didn't actually go home and that she had gone to her friend's house to hang out. She told me that nothing had happened between them. Of course, I was upset because she had lied to me, saying she made it home when she didn't. Within the next few weeks, I cooled down and made up with her. I didn't want to risk losing her, for I loved her deeply. I had already spent 3 years with her and had intended on proposing to her. We worked on building back trust, and at the end of 2018, I asked her to marry me. That's right, I was so worried about losing her that I proposed. Bad memories never go away, and it was eventually brought up again in 2019, about a year into our engagement. This time, she admitted to withholding information about the event, telling me that they had made out and that he had come to see her within the next few days, the period in which we weren't talking to each other while I was cooling off. Of course, I was even more upset at this point. I feel that anyone would have ended it there. Having already proposed to her, I decided to once again forgive her, dismissing the guy's behavior as him just being a bad guy that she shouldn't have trusted. In her confession, she had played the victim, saying he came onto her and all that. By 2020, we had worked hard to keep the relationship strong and finally got married during the summer. Only days before the wedding, she broke down and said, "I can't believe that you are still going to marry me after everything I did." I told her that it was in the past and I had forgiven her. We got married, and that brings us to today in 2022, 2 years of marriage. I feel that our marriage is relatively happy, though we still don't see much of each other because we both work all the time. We have our ups and downs, all relationships have rough patches, right? But within the past year, I can't stop thinking about her cheating. Even though it was nearly 5 years ago, it still hurts very much. I said that I forgive her, but I am unsure if that is true. I really do love my wife, she's truly my best friend, but I can't be free from the pain of the past. I don't know what to do. I'm confident that she hasn't cheated since, but something about marrying my cheater just isn't sitting right with me. We married young and hastily, and I often wonder if it was a mistake. I always ponder that what if question. What if I had broken up with her when it happened? Surely my life would be different, but I wouldn't be constantly reminded of the pain that she brought me. Sorry for the large amount of text. Any advice or outlook would be appreciated. Long rant of uncertainty with my BF, 37, and me, 32. Not knowing if I can trust my intuition. I'm fairly certain my BF 35 at the time was up to something when he started back up at his seasonal job in the spring of 2020. I was 7 months pregnant and had stopped working a month or 2 before he started back. The year before is when he started the job and worked in a team of all men. He brought up to me in the 2020 season that there was a new member, and it was a girl who had just graduated college and was young. Fast forward to spring, summer 2021, they both were out in the field and had shown up unannounced at my and my BF's house with 2 kittens they had found in the forest. They left them there for me to watch them until we found a home for them. They already had names which I'm pretty sure they decided on together. I had a really weird feeling when I saw them together standing at the door. A little while later I was able to get into his phone to snoop. Turns out she had been asking him for favors like picking her up from the car dealership, and asking if he could get her pallets. She gave him a houseplant. Essentially things you do for someone or ask of someone if you are interested. He never told me about any of the rides or favors until I asked him what the pallets were for, and he told me. I brought up to him that I'm uncomfortable with these favors. This past spring, I found more messages with her replying to his, "Have a nice weekend." He had let her know he was done for the day because she was promoted to a manager position and had to let her know, with a, "You too." I had a second baby in July and my BF barely helped at all with the baby. He didn't take overnights on the weekends so that I could sleep. He started being irritable with me because I was too tired to cook dinner every night. In August the first got a weird feeling that something was going on with them. I ended up finding her number and text her asking why she seemed to be sending flirty messages to him. No response. A week later my BF brought it up in an argument and I called him out on them apparently having better communication than the two of us. I never told him I text her. Stuff was still weird the next few weeks and my BF said he'd only be working a few hours on a Friday because he was all caught up. Over 5 hours went by, and he still wasn't back. I called him to ask him when he'd be home because we needed to pack up our stuff and get ready to move to the new house. He told me he was out in the field with her, and I got another bad feeling. I messaged her to let her know that I was fairly sure something was going on and that she was a part of it. She responded a few hours later after my BF had already been home, "Nothing is going on, I don't want to be involved." When he came home, he looked so guilty, and his face didn't show anger or annoyance at all. It just looked like guilt. We have 2 kids together and he's actually changed his tune the past 2 months after I messaged her. Do you think whatever was going on stopped and that's why he's more attentive now? The question about vindictiveness or manipulativeness, should I put out to my BF that he better tell me what went on? If not, I'm going to whisper over to HR about a potential fraternization going on at their job. I just need to find out the whole truth so that I can know whether my intuition was right or not. My wife had been cheating for who knows how long. So, this will be unloading and then a forget about it type of situation. I just need to get it off my chest. It has been a couple of years of a really bad relationship with a wife who has physically, verbally, and mentally abused me. The physical was in the last 2 years, and the verbal and emotional have been my entire relationship, 6 years now. Now, I can't say that I was a saint in the situation either, but I can say I have never laid hands on my soon-to-be ex-wife. I have also not sat in the same room insulting her or calling her terrible names. Anyway, on to the story. I had a coworker that I thought I was close with. I showed him a picture of my family and of course when he saw my wife it was a look like, "I think I know this person." I instantaneously thought when I showed him the family photo that something really doesn't sit right about this. Fast forward like 6 months, I invite the friend over for dinner and he meets my wife. They're from the same place, and they seem to really hit it off, like really awkwardly hit it off. They like the same music and know the same town really well. Again, I was very taken aback by how weird this was. A few months forward I opened up a Mac computer with my wife's account connected to the Mac. I saw text back and forth between my coworker and my wife. She was asking him all sorts of questions but at the same time, it looked really set up. Like, "I don't know who you are, I have never seen you," type of texts. Lies because they obviously have seen each other. I confront the wife about it, and we get into a huge argument about it. She disconnects her phone and takes off to a hotel in this distant common town the coworker and her know about. At this point, she says she needs space and everything I know is wrong or not true. A couple of months go by again and I am trying to put my finger on why in the hell my coworker and wife seem to disappear or are not available when I call or text. My ex-wife doesn't work, and my coworker started having weird excuses to have me trade shifts with him. I was the only one he would trade with. I had that gut feeling, you know, that one you get when you know what is going on but deny it anyway. Long story short, a year after I had quit and moved on, my wife suddenly is friends with him again on LinkedIn asking him hookup questions. Poor bastard doesn't even know all his closest friends already told me he did cheat on my spouse. You know, once a cheater always sticks true. I saw this and immediately regret my decision earlier to act like I didn't know anything. So, I kicked her out of the house with damn good reason. Why in the hell would I stick around pretending I don't know what she did and is continuing to do? She isn't crazy. I am. What in the hell was I thinking? Oh, the kid's this and the kid's the other. Forget that I can't take care of kids with a cheating abusive spouse. My relationship is broken, it is gone. She is one of those crazy religious types. She confessed her sins, and it is between her and God, not her and her husband. STI doesn't get forgiven now, does it? Can't pray that away. Ew. I am so glad I was so repulsed by her that I couldn't get messed up enough to touch her. Anyway, I just wanted to unload here and say I know what you did, and it is nasty. You are right. I will never find anyone like you again. I pray to everything that is holy that I never come close to anyone like you again. Trust me when I say I am far from perfect, but I do not have to get the crap kicked out of me for making mistakes. I wish you the best in leaving me alone. No child deserves your attention, and you shouldn't be having any more children anyway. You suck as a human being. Remember this phrase always. Cheating is like beating off. You are only ducking yourself. I really hope you get what you have been looking for. Cheating is an art, but I am not your damn canvas.
Like and subscribe for more ducking content.